Hey, hey, hey. Firelight. Apparently, everyone is made from stardust. Stars supposedly were first, and they exploded and created. The star seed blew up in iron and helium and gas and water and ore, metals. Got blasted out into the universe. Supposedly, this is what scientists say. We definitely depend on starlight. Life on Earth is completely dependent on the light from that star we call the sun. Supposedly, our weather and our tides are dependent on the moon, the gravity of the moon. Now, I haven't found out how to measure that for myself, so I just take that information on trust. And that's how a lot of things are. Trying to think of another example. People say that, experts, quote unquote, say we need vitamin C. I don't know how to double check that. I don't have a laboratory and know the appropriate testing required to confirm and validate that vitamin C is necessary for my body, for my life. So I trust. I've heard it enough times, enough people say it, or I assume it's true. There's a lot of validity to a lot of the things we're taught, and the opposite as well. So that comes to reliable information, something that's true or false. If one person says the earth is 10,000 years old, another person says it's 100,000 years old, and another person says it's 3 billion years old, they can't all be right. There's no way it's all those three claims cannot be simultaneously true. And they might all be wrong, but only one of them can be right. So there's things like that we can use sense and logic and deduce and narrow down on what's happening and what's going on. Tune in. Truth and false, reliable information. I think of reliable information like amino acids, protein, food, fats, vitamins, and minerals, iron. Supposedly, if you don't get vitamin C, you get scurvy. Or if you don't get enough iron, you can get anemia or blood deficiencies. And too little magnesium or too little potassium can really affect muscle functioning and contraction. Can affect nerve impulses. Can affect the moods and bone health and homeostasis of the bone. So, just like all those things, okay, the minerals, the vitamins, the amino acids, they're non-negotiable. You have to have them to live. So, that's how reliable information is. It's not a food, but it's not a food for the body. It's a food for the mind and sometimes the spirit. And it's just as important as the food. It's crucial. There's basic needs: water, air, food, safety, reliable information. I like to make distinctions. I like to acknowledge. I like to explore. This is philosophy, is meaning. Words, the words always mean the same thing. People always try to argue this. It's like, but basically, a word always is a word. A car is a car. I have a cup right now with a liquid. Liquid means liquid, cup means cup. It's reliable. You can count on the meaning. Words like joy, sorrow, love, practice, exploring. We all know what that means. They all have. So the meaning is very. Another distinction I'm making with this is the words are reliable. There's meaning. And reliability is important. Dependability, practicality, value. I like to ask this question to myself, or just to anyone. What's the best thing that could happen in the world? Excuse me. What's the best thing that could happen in the world right now for humanity? The answer that I like, one answer comes up for me is one of the best things that could happen for humanity right now is that as many people as possible get what they truly need right now. And alright, so need. What are our needs? What does that word mean in this context that I'm using right now? So I say you got food, safety, air, water, shelter, morale, hope, reliable information, guidance. Hope, that's important. Encouragement, purpose, motivation, morale, connection, community. There's a lot of lack of, there's a lot of, so that's, as many people that get what they need, the better it is for everything and everyone on this planet. In general. Definitely. Regardless of nationality, race, religion. People, we all come from the same place. We're all human beings. There's different cultures. We all need the same stuff. It's like the golden rule. Nobody wants to be stuck without shelter in a storm with no food. Nobody wants to starve. Nobody wants to be slapped. Nobody wants to be spit on. People want to have a good meal and a good night's sleep. Be left alone from tyranny and slavery. Nobody wants to be bullied. We all want the same stuff. We all need the same stuff. And when people have what they need, they feel better. It's a big deal. It's what anybody wants. It's to have a peaceful moment. Like right now, I'm counting my blessings. I'm able to had a meal tonight. I'm enjoying a beverage. And I have a moment to express myself. And I believe in that. That we all have a right to have opinions, to think, to question. It's a big deal, freedom from tyranny. The thing that I live in America, and I have read some about the American Revolution in the year 1776, and it's pretty amazing. These men and women in the American colonies from the British Empire. They were colonies of the British Empire. And the British Empire was abusing their power, mistreating people, enslaving people, mistreating people. And these people took a stand and challenged the most powerful army in the world at that time. And they won. And they acknowledged this word, human rights. So much has happened since then. So many people's rights have advanced from that revolution, but the concept human rights really become popular in that period of time. So what am I trying to say? Human rights. Yeah, so some of the men that helped create the Constitution and the Bill of Rights said that the underlying principle of the American government is to ensure the right to be let alone. That's the basic intention with the design of the United States government, is to protect people's rights as far as possible. The right to be let alone. You have a right to believe and worship or not to you have a right to practice spirituality or not to practice spirituality. You have a right to practice religion or not practice religion. You have a right to vote for who you want to vote for or to work for who you want to work for. You can quit your job, but there's a lot of positive things that happened There's a lot of positive things that happened from those men taking a stand in 1776. And the women, there was families, there's like a whole community effort. And I don't know all the details. We have a really gnarly history as a whole, humanity, the war. It's been pretty constant somewhere for like as long as we've had history books. It's been war in Sudan lately. I don't know how it is this summer. I know in Yemen, in United Emirates, and Qatar, especially Yemen, in Iraq, Syria. There's been some Libya. There's been some. I remember there was the Serbian-Bosnian conflict. There's tension in Korea. I know East Timor got it pretty bad. I think it was in the 70s. Afghanistan was invaded by the Russians in the 80s. They fucked up. Pretty much the whole country collapsed because of that. It was the final straw, I think. The Berlin Wall finally came down. But yeah. So anyway, history. One beautiful thing I like is this. This is encouraging. At any given moment, there's parents tucking kids into bed somewhere on the planet, loving them, reading them a story or playing a game. And there's parents that are getting their kids ready for school or for soccer or for playing on a playground or doing something. I don't know, just showing love. And that's the point. That's the point. It's back to those essential amino acids and electrolytes and vitamins and minerals that we need. Reliable information. Well, love is that way too. We need it. And it feels good. It's medicine. It creates hormones. It tonifies and cleanses our endocrine system. And it's kind of, this is kind of how it looks like to me. It's like one of the things we need the most in this world. And love has so many ways it can show up. You know, it can be love for a person, a child or a grandparent, or friends or lovers, partners, wives, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, friends. There's so many ways, but it could be for like love for your passion or your hobby, your art, your music, an instrument, or watching birds, or your church, or your bar, or your band, or your whatever. You know, it could be so many things. But it's powerful. And we need it. It's like it can come and go. You know, I could just have a good moment and maybe hear a poem and just be in love with it for it to be gone as quick as it came. It might last a minute. But I'll feel it. I might feel it for even a minute. Anyway, love, dude. That's good stuff. But okay, this is the irony. So it's one of the things we need the most, and it's one of the hardest things to do. And it's weird. So it's one of the things that we lack oftentimes in our past. I mean, a lot of people, it can be a challenge to have more of that in our lives. For instance, there's a tendency as human beings to be very judgmental. You know, you could just have a bunch of people at a park and someone new comes walking up to the park, and it's so easy for people to look at someone and just think, that guy looks like a dickhead. That guy looks like an asshole. That guy looks like a jerk. It's so easy to look at somebody and just be like, oh, look how he dressed, or look how he looks, or he looks arrogant, or he looks... It's just so easy for people to like look at someone and instantly just think negative thoughts. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm trying to, that's why I'm talking into this camera. I was trying to make points, but it's like, I mean, I've seen it. Yeah, there's something to it. It's so easy to be mean. And you see it, in America. I know it's this way in Europe and Russia. Traffic, man. You see it in traffic. It's just what it is. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement. Everything's always doing that, I guess. Meaning. Woo! I made this video last week. I talked about this kind of stuff. I've been thinking about putting it on YouTube for like a year. And I finally got courageous and I tried to put one on. I did the same thing I'm doing here. Talked to my camera about this kind of thing. I posted it, but I played music in the background and the copyrights. apparently they wouldn't play it because they said it was copyright infringement because I had some songs playing in the background. So I was disappointed because I poured my heart out onto it, and then I was like, oh. So I learned, okay, I can't have that music on. So I'm not playing any music tonight, and I'm striving to do the same thing I did then. I just start talking. I don't know what I'm gonna say, and I strive to touch on the topics that have significance. I'm striving to express and vocalize this stuff, and I figure it'd be interesting to see what other people think, to get feedback. It's like, here we are on a planet. What is it? What's going on? How much can we know about anything? What's the best information that I can become aware of? What's the best thing that I can know about that's most useful in my life? What's the best thing I can do today, this year, in general? What are the best things I can be aware about within my reach? That's the kind of, questions I'm digging for, You got the... Okay, this is one I like. Two of them I like. Quotes. I got this cool book. I don't know where I put it, but this quote book. It's got all these quotes throughout thousands of years, and it's got two of my favorite ones. Epictetus, about 1,000 years ago or so, or 1,500 years ago, this Roman philosopher dude said this quote: "Philosophy in 2 words: sustain and abstain." That's it. That's the whole quote. Philosophy in 2 words: sustain and abstain. 7 words, I think. So, the way I interpret that is pretty straightforward. Sustain what's working. Recognize, oh, this is working, more of that. Oh, this isn't working, or this caused injury, or this caused detriment. Oh, abstain. So the point of sustain and abstain is just to discern. There's safety and there's danger. So, safety, heavy equipment, anything and everything. Cars, kitchen, there's forklifts, there's chainsaws, there's ladders. There's lots of equipment. And so safety first on the workplace. That's that's the basic sentiment. It's just the way it is. If anybody works, builds a house, wires a house, plumbs, any type of construction, safety first, anything. And then there's danger, It's like crocodiles. You got to be careful where you camp in Australia. It's other stuff. So nobody wants to be attacked by a crocodile, for instance. So there's certain hazards. There's rip tides. They're not too common, but there's rip currents. And there's sleeper waves out in Cali. There's grizzly bears up in Montana. So knowledge is power. When I've hiked around a little bit up in Montana and Yellowstone. So I've seen black bears in Yosemite come within really close to me, 20 feet. And I did with the park. I had guidance from the park rangers before I set out to go backpacking. They told me, if you see black bears, you gotta like make noise and set a boundary. And if you don't set a good boundary, they're kind of like a pesky dog, and they'll linger around your camp sometimes for days and become a nuisance, and it's not pleasant. You don't want that. So you got to make a good, solid first impression if they come testing your camp because they want food. And you got to like scream at them, throw rocks if you have to. Don't, it's a fine line. I can't remember every word they said, but they definitely said yell at them and scream at them and make noise and set a boundary. But don't attack them. You don't want to, you don't want, it's a fine line. If you throw a rock towards them, but not, you don't want to actually hit them, cause them, start a fight with a bear, no bueno. Anyway, that's what I did. The bear came really close, made a noise. I was at my campfire. I shined my flashlight. I hear a noise. I knew it was an animal. It was kind of quiet. I thought it was like something small, like a raccoon. It was like a little brrr. Sounded like a little furry Ewok or something. Something gentle and soft. I thought it was something small. Made this little brrr. Turn on my flashlight, and I see two eyeballs like this far apart. Like a foot apart. And I see this big head silhouetted in the sky. And it was a huge black bear. And it was pretty cool. And so I got up and I picked up a stick and a knife. And I screamed as loud as I could that I don't want to play. And it ran away. Just like the rangers said to do. Cool thing about it is it came and it was squared up with me. It didn't come up behind me. It wasn't to my side. It came into my camp. I had no idea it was there, and it alerted me to its presence. I just thought it was very intelligent, and it was a soft, non-intimidating noise. It wasn't scary at all. It's a little nerve-wracking to see the eyeballs that far apart, but it was a gentle animal that night. And it was kind of seemed like a dog begging for food. That's what I would liken it to. Anyway, bears, what is the point? Golden rule, safety and danger. Sustain and abstain. If there is a work practice or a home practice or whatever, recreational, whatever, something that's going to be dangerous and fuck you up, that we want to abstain from that. If there's something that's going to hook you up, help you out, make life better, improve anything in one's life, that's what we want to sustain. So that's like the nature of philosophy, is discernment and identification and recognizing the variables, the dynamics that go into our day-to-day life. What is life? Why is it here? What could this all be possibly doing? All the motion of the stars, sun, the moon. Okay, there's religion. There's different philosophies and cultures. There's lots of claims of what life is or what life is not. So that's what philosophy is inherently, is exploring all of this with the desire to find truth, to come as close to what is true as one can get. There's a freaking election in America, dude, next year. Like, ugh. Gosh, this is the gnarliest political climate. The shit going on right now is just unbelievable. So, it's believable. It's terrible, though. This is what I say. We need help. We means humans. Team human. You go anywhere in the world right now, any continent. You go to any city, and there is like a massive need for help everywhere. There's poverty. There's crime. There are some issues. There's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of positive. But there are some issues all over this planet that pretty much affect nearly everywhere. The global economy is all tangled up. But the point I'm trying to say is there's issues that are worthy of attention. And if there's an issue, a conflict, without attention, without care, it won't get resolved. So this is some words, they're big words, care. It's the golden rule. Nobody wants to be stuck in the desert with no water. Nobody wants to be dehydrated. Nobody wants to be starving. Nobody wants to be left out. Nobody wants to be poor as fuck. People want to have good food to eat. People want to have a safe place to sleep. People want to be treated well. People want to be well. People need hope. There is some serious... I've dealt with a lot of hopelessness in my life at times. And I know about it. I know there's a lot of it. And I know that life can be intimidating. There's like two big words. There's another polarity. It's back to sustain and abstain. There's encouragement and discouragement. When I feel discouraged, man, I don't sleep as good. I don't feel as good when I'm awake. Sometimes I might lose my appetite or be in a bad mood or feel depressed. Discouragement is not a pleasant feeling. When we hear a song or maybe a TV show or a conversation or just a good thought or a pleasant moment that feels encouraging, that gives us hope, even if it's for a minute or for a day or for a week, something that's encouraging. It feels good. It feels good. So encouragement and discouragement. So when I feel discouraged, if I don't find a way to feel better if I feel discouraged all the time, I suffer immensely. So I work and strive to find sources of encouragement, things that feed my soul, because I need it. It's vital, just like water and food. But it has to be real. It can't be fake. Fraudulence doesn't work. There's no substitute for truth. There's no substitute for love. There's no substitute for reliable information. Like, there's correct and there's false. 2 + 2 = 4, not 5. If you build a bridge or a house with the wrong mathematical equations, the bridge can fall over and people can die. Math is very particular, and that's how life is. That's how gardening is. If you overwater a plant, it'll kill it. If you're trying to grow some vegetable or some food, same thing with animals. They require a certain amount of room, a certain amount of food to sustainably and ethically produce any type of food. It requires, it's very particular. And it's like everything else. There's needs and requirements. So, and my other favorite so that's one of my favorite quotes. Philosophy in 2 words, sustain and abstain. And I like, one of the reasons that's my favorite quote is it's so simple and quick. 7 words. So when I study this stuff, I like whatever is simple and right to the point. I don't like some person trying to sell me shit, telemarketing, junk mail, long-winded explanations of bullshit. Straight to the point, it's like bam, bam. Philosophy in 2 words, sustain and abstain. Bam. I love that So then there's another quote I really think is valuable. It's by John Stuart Mill. He says something like this: "The only freedom that deserves the name is the freedom of pursuing thine own good in thine own way, so long as you don't impede someone else from doing the same." And that's it, man. That's There's something that's beyond humanity in that for me. It's like in nature. It's like deeper. It's like there's something to it. Reminds me of like the Hindu concepts of karma, which is also found in the Gospels of the New Testament with the reaping and sowing. And it seems fairly practical too. The problem is sometimes the challenge is care. Just the care, the hope, morale, connection. And that instills care. So when I care about something, I do a whole different quality of involvement or attention or interest than if I don't, of course. Anyway, I'm going to slow down, try to get to the next quote. The only freedom that deserves a name, the freedom of pursuing thine own good in thine own way. The right to be let alone. Rights endowed by nature, by the Creator. Like in Buddhism, some Buddhism schools teach that we all have a birthright. By being born, we have a birthright to be happy and to be well. And that it's a spiritual birthright that comes from something greater than humanity. That no person can stop us. That it's a birthright from something, a higher power. In that birthright, if we know that we have that birthright and we choose it and we reach to it, that nothing can stop us from having it. And that with spiritual practices we can transmute pain and suffering, and that we can cultivate benefit and cultivate connection and cultivate fulfillment and purpose and basically connect with something valuable. And that's what this philosopher guy, George Gurdjieff, says. I love this quote too. He says something like this. He goes, all the world's religions and all the world's traditions basically say there's something to discover in this world of incalculable value. Some type of salvation or nirvana or sublime state of being, enlightenment, connection with God, something like that is what these religions suggest. They all are suggesting it. So the question then becomes, is that true or not? Is there something to discover or not? And so then it's like, well, if there is something to discover in this world, some kind of, I don't know, spiritual, anything that has merit, substance, value, not just some cult superstition or some cheap, toxic bullshit. Something of merit and virtue and value that's real and significant. So, if there is, well, where would I find it? Yeah, those are great questions. Great questions. And so, the Gospels, the old Judeo-Christian religion, they say, what do they say? Seek and you shall find, or knock and it shall be opened. That quote was attributed to Jesus. E for effort, The idea that, will the universe respond? Is there anything? This is what I think. This is an interesting thought. So all these religions claim, not all of them maybe, but a lot of religions claim there's a God or gods. Some type of supernatural, benevolent being or something like that. So I'm like, that's a claim. Whenever someone makes a claim, I think to myself, the claim is either true or false. So right away, it narrows it down to like 50-50. It's not like a whole lot of options. It's not like 1,000 different options. There's like either it is or it isn't. Okay? This guy's telling me this thing. He's either right or he's wrong. It can't be both. It's either accurate and true or it's false. So I think, okay, so there's either some type of a God or gods or a God consciousness or some type of a God, for lack of a better word. There either is some type of a God that's aware of me right now or everything else or anything, or there isn't. There's either a God that is aware of me or there isn't. So again, it cuts it down to two options. And maybe there's another option. You know, I'd be happy to have that conversation. I love to think about this kind of thing. Or any of it. I just love to think about all the claims, the history, the needs, the problems, the possible solutions, what's in our power, you know, to help improve people getting access to what they need. People being stable, safe communities, safe schools, purpose, hope, good food, good relations, holidays, time off, no slavery. Who wants to be a slave, right? Nobody. Nobody wants to be a slave. Who wants to be like exploited or desperate and have to work some job that's shitty to have the basic, you know, people want, so how do we make things, you know, how do we make the most of where we're at right now and make things better? What can we do today? What can we do tomorrow? What we can do to reach each other and make this better? You know, that's the kind of questions that are important. That's what, like, I wish all these politicians that say all this stupid shit at their debates, I wish they would talk about shit that mattered. It's like, good Lord, man. Anyway. Yeah. So. Maybe I'll maybe I'll be brave again and put this on my little YouTube channel. Forward it to a few of my friends. I'm always aware of, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen if I put this on YouTube. It's like, nobody could watch it. 5 people could watch it. They could, 10, let's say 20 people watched it. Like, half of them could think it's dumb as hell. One person could think it's really cool. One person could think it's schizophrenic. One person could think it's fanatical. One person could think it's too religious. One person could think it's too not religious enough. It's like, who knows? I don't even fucking know what anybody would think about anything. It's like, what is it? This is how it all looks like to me. It's like, what's it look like to you? So what else? So if I put it on YouTube, 5 people might see it. Nobody might see it. 50 people might see it. 500 people might see it. 500,000 people might see it. It's way less likely that 500,000 people would see it. And I don't particularly... That thought makes me nervous as hell. But I have a passion for this, my philosophy, and I hear all this. I'm watching the politics, I'm reading the history, like just like the rest of us. And we're like, what the hell, man? We need something to give. That's for sure, man. There is some legitimate issues that we need solutions for if we're going to have the outcomes that we want. And it's totally doable. I totally know it's doable. Like, there's plenty of resources. There's time. We have technology. We have the tools and the technologies and the materials we need. It's a management issue. We need to write priorities. People over profits. Profits are important. Things have to be sustainable. Nothing's free. It's like everything that's a product, somebody made that. Somebody worked for it. This chair, this phone. It all is work. But we need cooperation and teamwork, and we need it fair and just, and I don't know, man. We need some fucking help, man. There's some shit's fucked in so many ways. But it's not at the same time. There's a lot. It's just wild. You got over 7 billion people. You have a diversity of situations happening right now on the globe. Here's some gnarly shit here. And it's not good. 1 out of 3 children in America are sexually abused, according to statistics. Let's say they're wrong. Maybe it's 1 in 6. That's still terrible. 1 in 3. So the good thing is that it's 2 in 3 kids aren't. That's a plus. 1 in 3 kids are. That's terrible for those kids did nothing wrong. They were born. We were all born. Nobody remembers asking to be born. That's something that we need to abstain from. As a culture, we need to work on how to support the framework and to help parents have what they need and people have what they need and people to have reliable information to figure out how to fulfill their needs in healthy ways so kids aren't being abused because parents are lost and they're just tripping out in some bad way. It's like we need to sustain positive, proactive. Of course, this is all just stating obvious, but that's just a statistic. That's an example of that's a reflection of something that's wrong. 1 out of 3 kids in America are sexually abused. So I don't even know. I wonder what it's like in Pakistan. I wonder if it's 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 or 1 in 2. Or 3 out of 4. Or 1 out of 3. I don't know. What's it like in Iraq and Saudi Arabia? What's it like in Congo, Sudan, Nigeria, Liberia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique? And we're all people. South America, Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires, San Juan, anywhere, Chicago, Atlanta. So what? Blah blah blah. So yeah, philosophy, golden rule. Nobody wants to to be robbed. Nobody wants to be slapped. People want to have good food. Golden rule. It's just like, so based on the golden rule, nobody wants to be the recipient of abuse, tyranny. So anything we can do to empower our government, empower ourselves, empower anything and anyone that's how to unify, and checks and balances, safeguards, safety nets. It's like empowerment. So I don't know, man. There's major issues with the leadership. That's what I've fucking boiled it down to. I gotta refill my beverage. Is that, yeah, man. But it's like the book is a man thinketh that says is like the leadership is half of it. You got the same Stockholm syndrome. You got masters, dictators, but you got the subjected, and there's responsibility on both sides. It's not just the one side. But like leadership, that's where like people that make big decisions, the media, all the different products right there at the checkout aisle, all the different products, candy and junk food marketed to kids. That's where the most, like, it don't matter how, what am I trying to say? Leadership. Let me see if I can, I'm about losing my focus. I'm about to turn this off, but see if I can go into my leadership spiel. I mean, it's a management issue. It's like, there's plenty of stuff. It's just how it's distributed. It's how it's harvested. Like forestry, logging. There's a way to harvest lumber that leaves ecosystems intact. But there's a lot of harvesting. There's a lot of logging that is clear cutting and devastating ecosystems. That they go through there, and when they're done, they leave a desert. All the mushrooms, all the salamanders, all the owls are gone. They don't come back. Like the ecosystem's killed. There's a way you can go into an ecosystem, you can harvest resources, and the ecosystem's intact. The mushrooms, the web of life, the eagles, the birds, the predators, the prey, the mice, the earthworms, the bacteria, the lichen, the fungi. There's all these life in these ecosystems, and you can go in there and you get the gold or the oil or the. There's a way to harvest things without fucking everything up, and there's a way to make products that aren't harmful for people. There's the VOCs. It's in like a lot of carpets and a lot of paints, a lot of glues for like wood and flooring, and all kind of stuff, fabrics, and they're toxic. A lot of them. There's a lot of shit in food that shouldn't be in the food, like chemicals that give people diseases and hurt people. There's a lot of toxic shit that shouldn't even be made, much less bought, but they're both made and bought. So it's just like, wow. That's why I gotta, this is where, sustain and abstain. What do we want more of? What do we want less of? Cancer has gone up by 500% in the last 20 years or some shit. Diabetes. It's gone up by a couple 100% in America in the last 20 years. Heart disease and obesity. Not to mention, schools could really use some big morale boost. And then this presidential election, it's just like so much tension and division. It's just like shit's. So, what's the point? Hope, morale. That's some of the most powerful shit ever, but it can't be fake. I can't have, confidence. Confidence doesn't come blindly. Confidence comes because you have a connection with something. If you know how something works, then you can be confident in that. It comes from understanding. There's an understanding that's first before confidence comes. There's blind confidence. That's not real confidence. I'm talking about real confidence is from a knowing. You know it works. If you know it works, you're confident about it. It's like, so confidence comes from knowing, and knowing. What's knowing? It's like truth. The word trust comes from the word truth, and the root of I'm trying to think of linguistics, maybe, or etymology. The root of meaning in the words, the development of language. So the word trust is directly related to the word truth in the creation of the language. So basically, you can't have trust without truth. That's where trust comes from. Same thing with confidence. Confidence comes from knowing. When I'm in Lake Jocassee, I'm confident there's no sharks, there's no crocodiles. I know it. But when I'm in, if I'm in South America, if I'm in Australia, I will not be confident. Or if I'm in South Florida, if I'm swimming in a pond in South Florida, I'm not confident that there's not an alligator in the pond. It's possible, but not here. Not here where I live. I live in South Carolina, in the northern part. There's no gators up here. No crocodiles. No mountain lions. There might be, but it's doubtful. It's possible. So anyway, so what's the next thing? Truth, trust, hope, morale, food for the body, the mind, and the soul. Care. Hope, you know. One of the best things that could happen in the world is if Saudi Arabia and Iran found some type of peace. Because if they went into an all-out war, it would be terrible for all these innocent women, children, and men in both countries. I imagine a lot of people would die and be traumatized and hurt. It could turn into a world war. Iran, if they start launching stuff at Israel, Israel might naturally launch stuff back. It could just get nasty. Wouldn't be good for anybody. They all profess God. So if they really believe in God, like God doesn't want an all-out bloodbath and massacre. You think that's what God wants, really? I think, like, I always figured, like, people always think, everybody thinks they're the chosen people. The anti-Trumpers think they're chosen, they're righteous, they're fighting for some great cause, and the Christians think they're the chosen people, and all the other people are going to go to an eternal hell. And that's what the Muslims think. They're the chosen people, they think. And all their enemies are going to go to an eternal hell. The Buddhists, I don't know. I don't know exactly. Their thing's a little different. And the Hindu thing's a little different too. And the Hindu thing's similar though. There's definitely, they all suggest consequence. Cause and effect. But, all these, what am I trying to say? Religion. Oh, all these people think they're the chosen people. But they get to the promised land, but their enemies will go to hell forever. And I just don't think that's how it works. I think if, basically we're all the chosen people. We all live on earth. I mean, but we have to choose individually. We all make choices individually. But we all have the same rights and that same access. We're all people. If you have a heartbeat and you're breathing, you have that birthright, that Buddhist birthright I was saying. It's for everybody. If you're just based on having a heartbeat. And if you make a mistake, you can find healing. You're never stuck. As long as you're breathing and you have a heartbeat, Adolf Hitler could have turned his life around if he would wanted to. As long as you're alive, there's power in remorse. And there's always a chance to learn. And it's like the story in the Bible about Paul. Apparently Paul was like murder people. He was like a savage murderer. Rode around on a horse with like a posse. And they like found people that were Christians and they murdered them. Who knows? Maybe they tortured them, hung them, lynched them. Typical crazy bullshit. And then he like turned his life around and was like a missionary. And he didn't kill himself. And I believe that's one of my favorite things. I like, of all the things in philosophy, I like a lot of things in philosophy. One of my favorite things is this idea, I call it karmic cleansing. And remorse. I think of remorse as a force. That remorse is sincere, because we all make mistakes. But when we realize it and we care, and we realize, kind of like the golden rule thing, sometimes we just realize that caused somebody some pain, and it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't necessary. It really didn't accomplish anything good. It's just kind of a tragedy of sorts. But there's ways to heal that, and I totally believe that. I think it's one of the most valuable things of all the things that I've studied in this subject, is this concept that there's a way with it's with mindfulness and attentiveness and a heart set. Mindset, heart set. It's like so it's an inner thing, inner work, but it's like that birthright. It's accessible to anybody, and all that's required is a will. That's it. You just gotta seek and you shall find. You just gotta want it. You just gotta want it. That's it. But it has to be real and sincere. So that's the trick with all this philosophy stuff. It has to be a sincere desire for it, or it won't. Nothing shows up. It's all based on that. A level of care, a level of sincerity. It's recognizing the world around us and having some respect and some sincere curiosity. What is this? And I feel like that sentiment unlocks powerful door. Unlocks a lot of things. Alright, I guess I'm about done, man. I think I'm going to put this on YouTube. Show it to my friends. Best thing that could happen in the world today. Saudi Arabia and Iran. They got some major help. Some dignified solution that enables the highest good and benefit for the people and the regimes there. And if Somalia got some major stability, some major morale boost over there, get some permaculture techniques, some educational, something to rally the people together good. Same thing in Italy, especially with the refugee crisis, but also with economics, man. I think people feel pinched in a lot of places. I know Europe does too. Greece went through some major economic turmoil. And then the refugee thing has been a crisis. Like Syria, the war in Syria and Iraq and the whole region, it's been devastating. It's a terrible refugee crisis. There's tension in Europe. There's like Sweden, Germany, England, London. Issues in America, Mexico, the southern border, the refugee. There's a refugee crisis in South America and Central America as well. Honduras, Venezuela. So there's just like, people need stuff. People's needs are important. People's feelings are important. We need things that make things better. That's what we want to sustain. And things that make, anything that's going to make people's lives worse and make cities less safe, that's what we want to abstain from. Abstain from bad policies, bad political trickery. Sustain thoughtful, ethical, considerate, sensible, reasonable policies that give us our best odds and our best chances of advancing our situations and making us a safer planet. The thing is, what's the best thing that could happen for the planet? Humans get their shit together. Because if humans get their shit together, we don't damage things. Then we would be good stewards. A lot of people think it's better if everyone was extincted, but the problem is if somebody tries to do that, what happens is they fail. They always do, and you could have some dictatorship. You could end up making it way worse than it is now. It's just not the right answer. There's always somebody trying to do what Adolf Hitler did or Genghis Khan did, but it never works. It never lasts. The Russian Revolution. Fucking Anyway, best thing that could happen. I don't know. It's my 2 cents. Think if there's any good last words I can think of. Is there any good more quotes I can think of? Love is the foundation of the universe, and it's also the pinnacle. So it's like if it was a pyramid, it'd be at the very bottom, but it's also the top. It's like the crown jewel of the universe. It's like the universe is a plant, and love is the fruit that the universe produces. And that's what the plant does. The fruit is the whole point. You know, that's the design is for that. I don't know, something like that. The fruit's a big part of it, and that's what love is in the universe. It's like the whole point. You know, a lot of people don't. You know, humanity. You know, you got the allegory to cave. Plato wrote this 2,500 years ago, and it's spot on. There's a lot of bad information, and just like Buddha said, we get attached. Suffering, the root of suffering is attachment. And we're in a cave, and we get shown a bunch of bad information, and we become attached to it before we see the truth. Happens every generation over and over. So, once a person's attached to the false, they don't want to hear about the truth because they're attached. They want this to be true. They have a bias. It creates a bias. And unless a person really wants the right things, they won't overcome the bias. And it's kind of a mirage. It's easy to do. It's easy to be in denial. That's what the word means, denial. You don't know you're in it. You're in denial. So if you're in denial, if I'm in denial, if any one of us is in denial in some way, we don't even know we're in it. So that's something to be cautious of. It's easy to delude ourselves. But if we're aware of that and we're cautious and we create checks and balances and safeguards, it makes a dramatic difference. There's still trial and error, etc., etc. But anyway. So, the next thing. Let me think of the next thing. What the hell was I saying? Trial and error. Damn, I forgot what I was saying. Shit. What was I saying? Trial and error. I hate when I have to do that. Oh yeah, so I remember. It's like the old Chinese parable. If like a Chinese kung fu master is pouring a kettle of tea water into a cup, and the cup fills up, and he just keeps pouring it, and it's overfilling the cup, but he keeps pouring, and it's just going out of the cup. And the student says to the master, "Excuse me, master, the cup's already full. You're spilling the tea." And the master says, "Yes, just as the cup is full, your mind, when it's full, it has no room for more because it already is full." And so that's what can happen when we think we have all the answers. We can become closed-minded. And there's no room for considerations or to consider or think about things because we think we know it all. And that's where delusion can happen. Where the allegory of the cave, you know, where someone could... The allegory of the cave, you know, there's all these... Yeah, man. Truth. We're all the chosen people. We need to we go to the promised land together, you know. Maybe it's like that. then a lot of people say, well, my Bible says this, and my Bible says that. And it's like, well, we need to have a good conversation about it, where we're not fighting and blowing each other up with missiles and shit. Where we're not discriminating and trying to like wreck people's careers and wreck people's lives. Nobody wants their life wrecked. People deserve to be able to have a life. We're here. We deserve to be let alone from tyranny, freedom from tyranny, from religion, from non-religion, from atheism, from whatever systems people want to impose on each other. There's plenty of stuff here. We need some good leadership, though. There's a lot of terrible fucking things. But our leadership, there's a lot of good leadership, too. There's a lot of great things. But there's a lot of, it's like yin and yang. There's a lot of terrible things, too. I think those wars, those refugee crisis. Oh, Honduras could use some major help. So good. Oh, man. Mexico. All right, man. I think I said everything I can think of for this session. It is what it is. It's a lot. There's a lot there, dude. What's to say, you know? Saudi Arabia and Iran, yeah. America, China, all these countries, all these people, all these needs. The more people that the idea is for as many people as possible to have what they need. And if people have challenges, for there to be resources, there are appropriate therapies, counseling, guidance, direction, education, instruction. There's no way around it. We all need instruction. Nobody's going to go and figure out how to be an auto mechanic unless they're taught. Nobody's going to figure out how to like program computers or build a house. It's all technology that we learn, we pass on from generation to generation. There's no way around it. We need instruction. Same thing with relationship counseling. You know, relationships can be intense or whatever. Parenting as well. It's a big deal. Parenting is like the biggest deal of all the things. Every one of us, I'm going to close off my thing with this. Every one of us was a baby, and we had to have some adult take care of us. If anyone ever hears this or sees this, some adult took care of you to be able to get old enough to understand words and language. And hopefully they didn't abuse you. That's the way I look at it. If they did, then you didn't do shit wrong, and I hope you have gotten help to feel good about your life in any way that you can. Whoever, that's the way I see it, is I want people to feel as good as they can. We're already here. I don't remember asking to be born. I don't think anybody remembers asking to be born. We're all already here. To be able to look at the stars or to see a butterfly or see something and marvel at life and nature. To not be in a bully situation or an abusive situation, and to be free in a moment and to be able to enjoy anything. That's what I like. I want that for everyone as far as possible. That's for people to have what they need and to be able to feel good in as many moments as they can being in a body on this planet. We're already here. It sure beats the alternative. Feeling good in a moment beats it. But I get it. Suffering and challenge is a part of life. It, for whatever reason, it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. And here it all is. And here we all are. Some things make things better. Some things can make things worse. If Iran and Saudi Arabia go in an all-out war, it won't be good. If Chicago went into martial law and there was like civil unrest, it wouldn't be a good thing. There's always collateral damage is the word. And that kind of shit. So, it's nice when we can find common bonds. See how much we have in common. We all come from the same place. We're in the same space. We breathe the same air. We share the same roads. We all see the same screens. So what else was I saying? What was I just saying? I think what it was. Parenting. Okay. So parenting is like shapes us. It's where we all come from. We all depend on a parent to take care of us to get older. There's no way around it. We all require some level of instruction and guidance. And it's the way it is. It's just the way it is. No way around it. And there's good guidance and there's bad guidance. And that's that way with media, with politics. You know, if there's good leadership, it's great. If somebody tells you the truth and cares about you and cares, it's like having a boss or an employer. If I work and agree to work for somebody and make an agreement, and my boss cares about my well-being and treats me with respect, that's way better for me than the alternative. Than if my boss doesn't care about me and disrespects me. Sustain and abstain. Philosophy in 2 words. I want to sustain a work relationship with a boss that respects me or a company that respects me and cares about my life and my well-being and my feelings. And I want to abstain from working for a person or a company or a corporation that doesn't care about people, that puts profits, power over the right things. I want to abstain from buying their stuff or working for them or any of it. I want things to be right. I need things to be right as much as possible. I get it. Shit happens. We all know it. We've all gone through shit. There's no shortage of shit happening. And we need things that feed our mind, our soul, our heart, our body. I don't need no junk mail every day coming to my mailbox. 10 telemarketers calling my phone trying to get my credit card number. Email scams telling me to give them my account number so they can give me money. Lying politicians promising the moon and back. I don't need scams. Who needs scams? It's the golden rule. Who wants to be fucked over and robbed? Who wants to get Wells Fargo to steal their money or some bank or some corporation to get extra fees or you get charged twice or all the, who wants to be fucked over? Nobody. That's who. So it'd be nice if we could encourage and support social environments that reduce people fucking each other over as much as possible. Offer incentive, offer hope, offer love and connection. I don't know. We're to start where we're at. One day at a time, one step at a time. It's like we do what we can. We've come a long ways. We've come a long ways, and we're going somewhere. This is all happening. But I just trying to water the garden a little bit, I guess. Trying to stir the cauldron, Promote the conversation. By firelight. I love firelight. What's to say, man? I don't know. Nobody wants to be a slave. I sure don't. I've had some shitty bosses before. God bless their heart. I wish the best for them. They just were shitty bosses at that particular time in their lives. Hopefully they're doing better today. If they're not, that sucks. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I got to say. Parenting. Oh yeah, I'm gonna end it on parenting. Parents, man, they need. It's like one of the biggest deals. It's a big responsibility. It's a big job. So we need to definitely support. Yeah, Team Human. Go Team Human. One of the best things that can happen is many people get what they need right now on this planet, everywhere, as far as possible. Every race, every country. It'd be great for Saudi Arabia and Iranian regimes and the generals, the leadership, the presidents, the Ayatollah, the princes and kings to get the best, most reliable information so they can make the best decisions that will help advance their causes for their people in dignified ways. Same thing for China, Russia, anywhere. So I just like the idea of there being Saudi Arabia and Iran avoiding war, basically. Because I know it would be devastating. The cost is... And you know what? If it spiraled out of control and Pakistan and India go at it and people start launching shit at Israel starts launching shit, everybody, it could be like the OK Corral, except worse. Times a fucking billion times worse. So that would be great value if we can avoid that. That's what I'm rooting for, man. Gosh. I hope humanity's ready, dude. That's what I think a lot. I'm like, man... I pray, I'm like, God, I hope we're ready, dude. I hope we don't have to go through World War II all over again, It's just like, God, I just hope we can have a breakthrough. Anyway, man. I know people anywhere are like me in that if they get, that we can feel pain and sorrow and joy. We can laugh at something funny, or we can feel... We have feelings. And it's the same, We all need the same stuff. I just want... Yeah, man. There's nothing like cooperation, There's nothing like it, dude. It's a valuable thing. Teamwork. Respect. And care. Love. That's the fuck. Yeah. Alright, man, I'm out here. One love. A love for you, a love for me. There's just one love.